Okay, so here we are on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. This is our Cosmobiology Institute monthly research meeting on the fourth Tuesday of each month. It's our opportunity for you to bring up any topics in astrology research. It might be something you're curious about, you're thinking about working on, you're already working on. Um, so far for tonight, I really have just one thing. So Emmett's going to share what he's doing with this developing some software in Python, which is directly related to research and investigations into astrology. Um, and so if you have anything else, you can type in the chat. I'll try to check on the chat and or you can unmute yourself. So first, Angela's going to share some things about the Cosmic Discovery Conference next year. Angela.
Yes. Hi, everybody. If I haven't met you, my name's Angela McRae. I'm on the board of directors here at CI, and I want to talk to you guys about two things, actually. One is even coming up even quicker than the conference next year, and that is that we are giving all of you an opportunity to present where you're at in your research projects at a public meeting on October 17th. So I've extended it because I felt like you might want to kind of discuss or get some ideas and stuff this evening in today's research meeting. So I've extended that deadline to let us know if you're interested in presenting your project until the end of the day tomorrow. So if you have an idea, if you want to talk about what you're working on and where you're at, it doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't have to be polished. The idea is that we just want people to be able to listen to what everybody else has going on. And we really think it'll be an opportunity to have a really great open dialogue about where you guys are at with everything. As kind of an incentive for that, we're offering at least one, possibly up to three hour-long mentorships with one-on-one with one of our board members that is really great at research. So that could be Santino, Christopher Benton, Vincent, Starlene. All of those people are excellent researchers. So if you do submit, and even if you're not quite ready to present on the October 17th, but you are still interested in possibly doing a mentorship, please send us an email, and we will definitely consider that. Let us know where you're at, what your project's about, and so forth. The email that got sent out today and yesterday reminding you about this meeting tonight has some details on what we're looking for the project. So don't be afraid to share. I'm going to put the email address that you can send your information to, but I cannot talk and type at the same time. So give me one second and I'll put that in the
Yeah, so
chat.
while
That
you're
is a,
typing, look at the chat for that email address. So
yep.
this is on, and while Angela's typing that in, let me just underscore some points she's making. This is an additional meeting in addition to the meetings we have on the fourth Tuesday. It'll be on October 17th. And if you've spoken about it before, that's fine. But it'll be kind of what we want to do is see a summary of all of the kinds of research projects people are undertaking, starting to do, or want to do to kind of bring it all together. Like who's doing what or who wants to do what. And this is a way for us to keep track of what everybody is up to if you're actually doing some research or planning to do it, and defining the details of like what the methodology is, what concrete conclusions can be drawn from it. And then eventually the work you're doing might become something that'll develop that you would present at a future Cosmic Discovery Conference, for example, if it develops to that point.
So one of the things too, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the conference here for just a minute. I'm putting some details in the chat so that you can copy and paste those or go to the website link. April 24th through 26th of next year in Nashville, Tennessee, is the first Cosmic Discovery Conference. We are planning some amazing sessions. We're calling them discoveries because we really want to show people that we have made discoveries. There are things out there that have gone through this evidence-based process and research process that you guys are working on. I'm going to so this is the first little release of the topics, the discovery sessions, presentations that are going to be discussed. I'm putting that in the chat right now. You guys are the first ones. It's a little, I guess I should have spaced that out a little better. But you can kind of go through those topics and see we have a great full weekend planned. The idea is that on the 24th, which is a Friday, we'll have early pre-conference workshop probably that morning. Then really start into things that afternoon and evening with a welcome reception and keynote presentation. And then from there, it's pretty much all day Saturday, most of the day Sunday. So if you need to leave town Sunday evening, that's certainly an option. If you end up staying, we're going to do a Nashville night out on Sunday evening. If anybody's been to Nashville, it gets real busy on the weekends, but Sunday nights are actually a great time to go see a show. Things calm down in town a little bit there. So that will be finalized in the next month or so. I put the hotel booking page link here on the chat. At the top of the chat, there's the link to the conference website. We're keeping the early bird rate, which is $100 off the registration through the end of October now, since we really just got our presentations and stuff lined up. So we really want to see you guys there if you can make it. We're working on possibly offering online access maybe after the conference. It's a little bit tedious to stream if any of you guys have done that. Also, we really want to encourage you to come because it's important that we all get together if possible. One of the things that we are going to do, besides these really great discovery sessions that are being offered, is we're going to give you guys an opportunity to present your projects as well at the conference. So what we're planning is a Saturday evening, we're not sure if we're going to do this at dinner or possibly after, but we're going to have lined up where you can go on stage, present your projects for 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be completely buttoned up. Again, we want to encourage you to share what you're working on so that everybody knows you have to start somewhere, right? We all have fails, we all have wins. This is a great opportunity for you to share where you're at. So all of that is really exciting. I think it's going to be a great conference. More to come on all of that and the schedule and everything. So I want to encourage you guys to do that. And then I'm going to do one more plug for the Cosmobiology Institute in the chat, and that is please join and subscribe our YouTube page, join the new Facebook page and Instagram if you're on any of the socials. That'll keep you guys in the know on everything. If you have any questions at all, either about the conference, like let's say you're making plans and you just want to ask what the schedule is going to be like, whatever, please don't hesitate to email us at info@cosmobiologyinstitute.org. That's in the chat as well. And Santina is bringing up the website there that has more information on it. Okay. So I think I got it all in.
Yeah. Thank you. And you can go to cosmobiologyinstitute.org. We also have just cosmobiology.org also working, a little bit shorter to type in. So the information about the conference and getting on the mailing list, which you guys already are, etc. So yeah, this is all happening. Evidence-based astrology is a real thing. It's not something just for the future. And we're getting these programs together so we can all communicate and share and grow with this really revolutionary development. Okay, let me check the chat.
Excuse me, Santino.
Yeah.
Just the last two recordings from these meetings don't seem to be accessible online. I just wanted to, very keen to see a repeat of the last session, if that's possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll make sure those are uploaded by tomorrow. If they're not, apparently they're not. I mean, if you go to the YouTube Cosmobiology Institute page, they should all be there. So I'll make sure they're uploaded. Angela and I will work on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I think
Can
we've gotten so involved with the conference and other things, we've gotten behind on some things.
May I ask a question related to what Angela
Yes,
asked?
Please.
yeah,
Okay.
please.
Hi, Angela. You were offering possibilities for Europeans who are not able to come to
Yes.
present videos of 15 minutes or 20 minutes length.
Yep.
I received a personal invitation for that. I accepted. I have not received any response to that.
Okay.
I missed that in your overview.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to put my personal email in the chat. Can you forward me what you have emailed so that I can make sure I respond to
Well,
you?
I emailed to Santino and he responded
Oh, you did
extensively
get it.
recently,
Okay. Yes.
and he said I invite you to make a 15 or 20 minutes video,
Hmm.
and and that can be shown whereas you are not there, and there
Yes.
will be a Q&A session live with Zoom or whatever to answer the questions of the audience, whereas I am not will not be there, and there were other people from Europe that might not be
Yeah.
able to travel.
Yeah,
So
let me talk about that for just a minute. Thank you for bringing that up. We do realize that we are a global organization and we are trying to expand our reach, and it is kind of difficult with the time zones and the travel and all of that. So one of the things that we are doing is if you are in another country, can't come to the conference, have trouble traveling in, we are offering an opportunity for about a 15-minute video. And
yeah,
then we're going to show those at the conference, either kind of at the beginning or end of presentations. We're going to mix those in. The idea is for people who can't come to be able to share their work. And it's very important that we open that up to more than just people who are accessible over here in the United States. So if you are interested in that, we would love to have a few more. Right now, I think we have 3 or 4 possibly that have said that they're interested. So go ahead and send an email to that. And I'm going to put my own email address in here too. A lot of times we get stuff sent to spam and it takes a minute for us to get into the box to figure out where the emails are. So this way you'll have a backup.
Yeah, and so
We
what we need is,
we will reach out to you as it gets closer and give you sort of a format for what we're looking for on that video. Thank
right,
you for bringing that up.
and what we're looking for, the conference is about discoveries that are being made. So it's not a general conference about everything related to astrology. It's specifically the implementation of modern research methods to make discoveries. Because one of the missions of Cosmobiology Institute is that modern research methods, we hear all about AI, doing this, doing that. Well, it's happening in astrology too. It's already happening. It doesn't require huge amounts of funding. There's no excuses. The progress is already being made. We want to hear about what people are doing. And all research is never ending. Doesn't mean you have done research with huge confidence, but as long as it informs us a little bit, improves our understanding a little bit about how things work. So we're interested in hands-on research more than theory, is what can be done. And there's still time because it's not till late April, and that's where we can meet with you. And that's one of the ideas of the consultations the mentoring thing is that if you have an idea for research and you have some questions about exactly how to implement it, or you want to discuss it, in it, we don't have enough time in this hour and a half once a month to talk to everybody. You can meet with one of us and just brainstorm about how you can implement the research design to answer some specific question in astrology. Does all that make sense to everybody? Do you have any questions? Yeah. Okay. I think, Angela, we're ready to move on
Yep.
to their stuff. Okay. And maybe you can keep track of the chat a little bit because I'm not very good at doing that and
Sure.
speaking at the same time. Okay. Okay, so Emmett, our first topic, and the only topic I have for tonight. So if you guys have other questions or topics, you can put those in chat. We probably will have time for it. Emmett's doing something very exciting. He's hacking his way through this. So it's a long process. But even though he's, not in like final stages or anything, I think it's exciting what he's doing because it's something that's very much needed, which is open source software for everything in astrology, whether it's formal research, going through a database or just calculations. And in case you're not familiar with all of the software development languages and platforms, Python has become the most widely used development system. There's several reasons for that. One is that it's able to develop applications for different devices and different operating systems. Another reason is that it's a fairly simple and straightforward language. Some languages are and syntax are a little more abstruse, and they don't necessarily have to be, but they are. And a third reason, which I think personally I think is probably the biggest reason, is that it's free. So you can download the system and get into it. There's no one language or platform that is the best. There are languages and platforms that are the best for certain objectives. There's not like one universal final answer for everything. But Python, everybody agrees, is clearly important, and it's very important in situations like open source software, making things available because it's so widely used and it is free. Everything has its pluses and minuses. So Emmett, you can unmute yourself. I gave you the ability to share if you want to share your screen and tell us about why you're doing this project, what goals you have in mind, and where you are with it.
Um, okay, so I didn't really plan out anything I was going to say today, so kind of winging everything here. But I started this just really, I was in college at the time. I had taken a course in computational linguistics, which is where I learned Python. And I didn't really have it in my budget necessarily to get like the better astrology software out there. But also, like, I didn't necessarily do everything that I wanted to do in my own work. So I thought, well, okay, like maybe I'll just do it myself then. And it's something to do in my free time for fun, really, honestly. So it's very much a work in progress. It's not the work of an expert or anything, but it's what I've been able to figure out. And so I'm sharing it just because it exists. So why not share it? But also, it's possible that it could be useful to some people, or you might just like mess around with what it does. But so this is what I have here. I did share the link to the Google Drive here. You can download these files if you want to. There is also a link to this demo file here. If you want to use the full demo file, you do need to download this other one. Sorry, the share things like in the way. There we go. Okay. So did I answer all your questions in the beginning? Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now.
Right. So the idea is you have this. I just want to make sure everybody's got the basic concept. You're writing this code in Python everybody uses something called the Swiss ephemeris. It's the standard thing. And I think you've implemented the Swiss ephemeris in this. So the Swiss ephemeris is what everybody uses to calculate the planetary positions. But you have to implement that in a language. And what Emmett has done is he's written code that will read some standard formats. There's CSV files is one standard format. Another format is XML. And Alois Trindle, who is the head person of astro.com and manages the online Astro Databank, he has made an XML format for Astro Databank data. So one of the things Emmett is doing is reading that XML file, which has the birth information, send that to the Swiss ephemeris calculations, calculate the planets, and then go beyond the calculations to do things like add up the number of planets in different elements and things like that. So this kind of extends the Swiss ephemeris, which is available for people to calculate positions. If you make a commercial program, you have to pay them. If you're using the Swiss ephemeris only for your own use, it's free. But you still have to write tons and tons of code just to get things going. So this builds on that so that if you are willing to work with Python, you'll already have what we sometimes call the infrastructure. The foundation's already done for you. Emmett's already done it. Now you can add whatever else you want to do to it. So this is the beginning of a free open source system. This has happened in every field. In statistics, there's a program called R, which is open source. It's fabulous. There's, in other fields, open source software. And it would be nice to have that in astrology as well. And Emmett is putting the shovel in the ground to start that, basically. And I think Python's a perfect, an excellent platform to do that. Did I say all that correctly, Emmett?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for putting that into words. That's pretty much exactly it. Yeah, like it's Python just because it's really all that I know. That's what I was exposed to first, but it is definitely a great language. I feel like if I was able to figure this out, then someone can get started with it fairly easily. You don't even know some Python to use this, but it is more accessible than other languages. So heads up, these documents in this file, they aren't all quite up to date. The documentation here is not necessarily accurate, but as far as the actual code, what is in this cell right here is the current state of everything. And what's also in the Star Machine file in that Google Drive, that's the current state of everything. So if you wanted to start messing around with this demo page here can help you with that. You should run all at the top. It will ask you, after it installs, this is ephemeris here, it will ask you to upload some files. If you don't want to upload anything, I believe you just hit cancel. You can still use some of the functions in here, but we'll get to that later. So when you do this, you have quite a few options. Let me see something here. I'm going to get like the help text. I'll just go up here. Oh, there we go.
So what you're looking at here is the actual Python code. If you've never seen software code before, you might, feel like you're reading ancient hieroglyphics or something. But this is what software code looks like. This is in the Python language, and it's well documented. Documentation is very important because a programmer cannot read someone else's code. In fact, you can't even read your own code, believe it or not. Like if I've written code 3 years ago, it's extremely difficult for me to understand what I did if I don't document it. So I can already see that Emmett is documenting, explaining, organizing it simply. This is extremely important for anybody to be able to use it. Um, and so, he's putting that code out there that people, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You could build from this.
Yeah. And so like for each function, the documentation, as I said, isn't complete. They don't all have explanations, but this one definitely does. This would be the most important one of them all. This is what you would use to actually calculate a chart. Now, before this step, what the program does is it takes an XML file. It can be either the Astro Databank, the full one, the sample file. There is a way to generate a XML file of your own data. There's a function in there for that. But here you have the different options for calculating. You can do geocentric, topocentric, or true topocentric positions. You have the options here. This lets you exclude any, like whichever objects you want to. So if you don't want to calculate for the outer planets, you put their numbers in there. There is a link in the README that will take you to the list of body numbers for that. You can select the house system here. There's a backup house system for what it will default to if that first one breaks in polar coordinates. So the orbs that you want, here some people do extend the orbs for some objects, so that will let you choose that there, and also for how much to extend them by. It is able to see whether or not a planet is retrograde and also stationary. That's the percentage, how do I explain this? The percentage of the speed at which it's considered stationary. And then this one here just determines like how many decimal places all the positions get rounded to. So the higher that number is, the more precision you have. So quite a lot of options there. But once once you get through that, here's where you upload the files that you need. Here, it processes the charts. And then down here is where you can kind of start calculating. So you can either run the functions just plain the way that they are. If you do that, it will have those options that are coming up there in that window. Or you can change them as you're running them. So here I extended the orbs and then added the ascendant to the extension there. And it's just printing out the length of each just kind of show as they change. So here it filtered for the rating. So this is another aspect to this. There are different ways to filter for it. You either can change the options in the setting, like in the function itself, or you have to do outside of it. So you can filter out what ratings you want. If you only want certain latitudes, you can do that too. You can kind of grab a lot of different things from this. There is a function where you can sort out charts based off what category they belong to. So here, looking at just flight attendants, and then it goes into this one will tell you like, how their modalities split up. There's one that will do all the qualities. I'm not sure if that's in here. No, down here, but it's not showing.
Let me ask interrupt to ask a question.
Mhm.
Alois Trindle, who runs the Astro.com, including the Astro Databank, he's gone through different decisions about making the data available. I know that he put all of the Astro Databank data into an XML format, and at one time he was offering that you could apply to get that XML file for him, explaining that you're using it only for your own use, etc. Like you cannot make a commercial program, but if you wanted to download it for your own use, I don't know where he is now, but is that the idea that you would make an application to astro.com to say, I would like that XML file?
So
Or
I've already done that. I did that years ago. When I first started this, I was only using XML and XSL. And so I forget exactly how I phrased it at the time. But as far as I understand it, I looked into the licensing and everything, and I think this is okay. But I did actually email him like 3 weeks ago, I think, because one of these files up here, the elevations file, what that is, that's not that's a file that I made myself. And what it is, I forget exactly where it is in here, down in here. It's the coordinates of all the charts in the data bank with their elevations appended onto it, so they can calculate top centric charts. So he knows about that. I sent him these files, and I said I was going to be sharing it.
that's the elevation of the place that the person was born?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So he is fully aware of this. He's seen the files, and I never heard anything back, and that was 2 weeks ago. So, as far as I understand the
let
licensing
me
and all
make
that,
sure I
it is.
understand this. So some years ago, you asked him for the XML file and he emailed it to you as an attachment or sent you a link to it?
The password.
A password to get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just asked for it, you explained what you were doing, and he gave you access to it.
Yeah, up in the README, there's a link where it explains the steps you have to follow to get the data bank.
Okay, so my understanding is that if you explain to Alois, and I may not have this correct because he might be changing his mind or something, but the last I understood, it sounds like it's probably the same, is that if you're doing research for yourself, you do not share it with anyone. He may give you permission to get the entire Astra Databank data in what's called an XML file. And Emmett made that request and he gave it to him, gave him the password to unlock this XML file. Hopefully that's still possible for people to do, because as I understand it, you're not able to share that XML file. People would have to go to Alice and request it and make it clear it's for you, only for your own use. He doesn't want people making commercial products from it. That's my understanding, and I hope I've got it right. I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah, that's fine too. I was like reading, there's like a whole bunch of different pages on it, I feel like, but something that he had written where the concern is that he wants it just for researchers, not for like commercial purposes.
Yeah, and also he's talking about not sharing it even with other researchers. So each person needs to get it directly from him for their own use. That's my understanding, but we can verify that.
Yeah, I did get into this at the top, I believe. I don't know if there's any concern with uploading the full data bank if you do have it, but please just don't to just avoid that question here. This down here, let me see, is the sample file that's in here actually. It's not the full data bank. It'll work with either one of them. Or if you create your own XML file with that one function in here, then that will also work too.
And the sample file, I think, is available to everyone. I think that's just on his site. So
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to work with the Astro Databank file, you can work with the sample and then hope he gives you the ability to get the entire file.
Yeah. That's like the biggest catch with this. If you do want to work with a lot of data, then you need to have that file. But the thing with this too is that you don't necessarily need the Astro data bank because the function to calculate charts, as long as you put the information in, like if you put in the time, the coordinates, and maybe something else. But as long as those are in there in the right positions, it doesn't matter where the data came from, it'll work.
Right. Anybody can type in that form data into that format. So you could type it into that format and then tell your code to read it and it will go.
Yeah. So something to note with topocentric charts, kind of showing that on here, or not what you were talking about, showing with this issue here, is that some of the elevations in the data bank, they don't, or some of the coordinates, they don't have elevations, or I wasn't able to find elevations. I'm not sure exactly why. I know it used to be one of the issues was that some of the coordinates were swapped around. But I think it's only like 30 charts out of the entire data bank, so that's kind of a lesser issue to look into later on. But this is showing how to exclude those charts if you want to for topocentric calculations.
Let
Um,
me interrupt again in case people are not familiar with this. When you do topocentric positions, it means where are the planets from your point of view? You might think that that's what astrology does, but what we do in astrology is we tell you where the planets are if you lived in the center of the Earth. Well, I don't live in the center of the Earth, but that's how we do it. If you want to do the positions from where the person is, that's sometimes called topocentric, but your elevation changes the position of the planets, especially the moon. So if you're at the top of, if you live in Denver, Colorado, or something that's 4,000, meters high or whatever, the positions are actually different than if you're at sea level. And if you want to get extremely precise topocentric positions, you need to know the elevation of the place. Are you at the top of a mountain or are you at sea level? Makes a big difference. And so one of the things that Emmett's been doing is adding the elevation to the database, having that information so that we have it for extremely accurate topocentric positions. I'm just filling in some background information for people who may not be following exactly why is he talking about elevations, and if I say anything not quite right, just correct me.
I know you're good. You've been perfect so far. So I just throw this in there as kind of a reminder. The exact format of things could very easily change in like the nearer future as I like keep updating this, moving things around. I'm not entirely comfortable with the way the category information is organized, but I may or may not be able to get that working better. Did I put it down here? Oh yeah. So there are some functions that you can use for synastry. I think I changed something, and the one that comes after this one doesn't work anymore. But this one will pair up all the synastry charts. So it'll just find it'll go to the category, find the corresponding chart anywhere else in the database, and tell you, okay, these two people here, they are entered in as friends or associates or business partners or whatever. And then there is another function that eventually will be able to calculate the cross aspects and house overlays. I do want to add composite charts, but not quite there yet. In the event that you don't really want to upload any files or bother with that at all, I believe if you just hit cancel upload up here, and as long as this cell is loaded, which it will be if you made it down to that point there, I believe this function will still work. And there's also another one that I didn't put in here. But what this function does here is, like it says, it creates an ephemeris. And so you put in the starting date, and that's, so you put in the starting date, and then you define how many days before and how many days after you want to calculate for. And then there are some options. Okay, I can actually send it. Sorry, the thing up top is blocking my tabs here. Let me see something. Okay, so it has similar options to the calculate chart function from earlier, but basically we're creating an ephemeris between those two dates you specify there. I didn't feel like putting in 2 years exactly, so I just did 365 times 2 to get 2 years. But then it creates a searchable ephemeris actually. So in the next cell, say if you were curious to know, okay, well, what days in that time span have this combination of planets, you actually can look that up. There is another function in here. Where is it? Oh, this one, I think. Yeah. So what this one does is if you put in that ephemeris you just generated, it actually will count up, say if you wanted to know how many days was this planet in this sign in that period, it'll count that up. Now, I do want to say I noticed earlier that it might be doing a little funny with how it's converting the days from like universal time into Julian day. It might be off by like enough to push it just from after midnight to before midnight. I'm trying to figure that out. But it roughly works at least, and this is the idea. There's also this function here. And what that will do, there we go, this one. And what that will do is you put in a reference day. You can put in the list of placements from a chart you generated from one of the other functions. And then it will tell you, okay, between this day here and that day there, what transits were happening on each day. So just another thing to look up, another thing if you wanted to reference there. And it also has options like everything else. I see here. So they're kind of all self-explanatory with what they do. This one here, heads up, is not fully functional. I believe it will. So the point of it is to return aspect patterns as it says. But I'm trying to get it to where you can filter the options. I think where it is now, it returns all of them, even if they're part of a larger one, or if there's conjunctions, they get split into two versus saying it's just one. Yeah, something else.
So what we're seeing here, for people who are not familiar with programming, what Emmett is showing us is all of these routines, sometimes we call them functions, that he's programmed. They're at different stages of debugging and perfecting them. This is typical with programming. Programming is, I sometimes, if you're working on your own, trying to create some big system, it's only for the seriously masochistic. It's a massive sort of undertaking. So things tend to be at different stages. And he's just showing us some of the things that he's already implemented. This would mean that somebody else does not need to go in and start recreating it from scratch. They can just take what he did, build on it, send back to Emmett what they did, and then you can have multiple people improving the code.
And the logic isn't like always the best, and a lot of this is in a completely different form than it was when I first started, but it is at least a start. Because some of this I had no idea how to even think of it at first. So it's at least a start.
Right.
So I think that's it. So these two up here, just to point them out, this one lets you select in some functions which options you or which objects and points you want to include. So it goes over different groups there. So if you want to exclude the outer planets, you would pick this one here. Some of them, the functions, like for example, I think this one. Yeah. So when it counts the tallies up like the modalities, the elements, like all of that, you can use weights. And so there's a couple of different like options here, but either there's like this one here, it's just the default that happens no matter what. You can also adjust your own. So you can change this down to 1 if you want to. And then there's this last one here where it just counts like them each one by one, no weighting whatsoever.
Mhm.
But you can honestly change anything in here that you want to. It's just whether or not it'll work, whether it does what you want it to do, but anything in here can be changed.
Right. So you can see you have a lot of functions here. I'm noticing calculate parallels, calculate this. So you just, a lot of fundamental things astrologers want. You're creating functions to do those.
Trying to, at least, anyway. I think that's about all that I really would like to say. Oh, and then to point out too, this right here is an indexing reference, just because the data that gets returned is like kind of a lot. Could be a little hard to read, but I'm not sure yet how else to do it. Um, but when you're trying to find a certain piece of information, you can go ahead, look in here, and this will tell you like what section it is, what position it's in, to make it a little easier to find things.
So the file indexing reference is the thing somebody would go to find out what variable value to assign to something.
Yes, yeah. So like how to find like the information, what particular piece of information they're looking for. Is there? I thought I had a section that went into this in here somewhere. Huh. Maybe I got rid of it, but yeah, basically, yeah. So if you want to know like the position of Mercury, then that will tell you like what numbers to use to find it.
Right. Right. And Blake, I think you started on this same path of, didn't you like learn Python and get some fundamental things going as well?
Yeah, I got a few things going with it. I figured out how to get the Swiss ephemeris attached to it and read planets to get the
Yeah.
data out of them and turn them into big midpoint lists and run them through loops and compare one list of midpoints to another and tell me which ones are in the same spot and filter it kind of thing. I'm working
Beautiful.
on it.
Yeah. So one big step is just getting the Swiss ephemeris to work with whatever platform you're
Yeah,
using.
the installation is the big step.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of tedious little steps. In doing this, like you'll read the documentation and maybe 80 to 90% of the time it works, and sometimes it doesn't work, and you sit there and fiddle and Google and whatever, and then
I used
finally you
AI.
get
I
yeah
use ChatGPT. It kind of knows what it's doing, but it doesn't exactly know how to get the planets out of the ephemeris. It'll go back to like an older option every time it keeps thinking to do it the old way.
right
We have to fix it. But
yeah
I've moved away from using ChatGPT and I'm trying to like learn it myself now.
right right. The new AI tools are very helpful, but they're far from perfect.
Yeah.
But
They damage it as fast as they're helping you.
yeah. Yeah, you have to be very careful. I know Linda's told me that she uses Chat GPT. Also, I use Chat GPT and some other things. Sometimes there's just some kind of code I'm having difficulty. And Nelson, you've mentioned you it's been extremely helpful for you. So yeah, but you have to be very discriminating, and it's not like automatic, but it can help with specific things.
No, it's far from linear.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But I find sometimes I just, some specific thing I'm not sure how to do, and it'll sometimes just write the whole routine for me. It's like, whoa, that was nice. Um,
Yeah, if you can get it in one go, it can be smart. It's when you start adjusting things and it's reading back in your conversation and confusing old things with
yeah,
new
I
things
only use the Chat GPT to get started and get something going. Then after that,
can be pretty smart.
I'm on my own.
Yeah. If it is trained to something that it's very common to be asked, then it will perform well. But if it's something out of the box, then you can expect some time with it.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes there's like a standard thing I want to do, like it hasn't been like a sort, but some kind of indexing or whatever, or I don't know, the like when I'm in Windows, the Windows API call to do something or whatever. And yeah, it'll come up and write it
Yeah,
in the language I use.
yeah, it's called automation. It's not really AI. It
Right.
does automated things.
Yeah. Okay, so this is exciting. This is, we're at a stage now where we're breaking new ground. Emmett's breaking new ground, and all of us in different ways, getting the software to do what we need to do in various ways. And they all have advantages and disadvantages. So it's a wild, crazy world out there. And some people say if you think about it for too long, you'll never get started. You think about it a lot, jump in and do something. And so this is really a great start. I think all of it takes time, but I'm imagining 5 to 10 years from now, a lot of things that we're discussing as breaking the ice and getting things going are going to become, robust and well developed, and people will be using them on a much larger scale. So if we don't know about these early stages of development, sometimes early stages means years of work to get something going, then others can't participate and start developing and working with it as well. But this is now moving into a level of being useful to people. Okay. Emmett, anything else you want to mention?
Um, it's not at this point. No, the only other thing that I did want to point out is just a little bit more information in here. So I know like we were at one point talking about like filtering out charts based on like time of birth, and I did after that add this in here so that if you wanted to filter out charts that are on the hour, like the information is there available to do that. So like you really can get exactly what you're looking for, exactly what you need out of this. Or I don't want to talk it up too much, but you can do quite a lot with this.
Yeah, once you have open source software, you can build from whatever has been done to basically do anything else. because the data is there. If you want to filter out the time, even if Emmett has not written the code yet, that's code that anybody can add to filter out whatever. So yeah, it just gets better and better.
Did anybody have any questions or
Yeah,
anything
any
about this?
questions? And remember, there are no stupid questions. You might have a general question if you're not a programmer or conceptual or maybe specific. Anybody, let me look at the chat also. You can unmute yourself as well.
Hi, I've got a question.
Yep. Okay.
I'm just wondering about importing CSV files, bulk CSV files. Is that a possibility with your program?
So, yeah, Santino asked me a bit about that earlier on, like in an email. I haven't, like, looking into other formats besides XML. It's on my list, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. And as I said to Santino, if you're able to get that into a format where it just has, it's a little hard to tell, but these fields here are bolded. As long as this information is in like these positions, when you go to calculate the chart, it'll work. So it's not set up yet for CSV, but I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be fairly
Thank
easy.
you.
The CSV format is in many ways much simpler than XML format. So, I mean, that's something that I think you can do at some point. You just decide, well, you can have them in the order that you have them right there. Just basically you put all of that into one line and in a comma delimited format. And yeah, so I think that's something that you would be able to do without much difficulty, add that ability. Because that will give interfacing with a lot of astrology software that can export the data in CSV format. And so you could calculate, or if you have data in a program, you could just export it. And it's also fairly easy to type in because you have just one line per person typically. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, cool. Emmett, thank you very much. Yeah, this is the future of astrology. We're looking at all these things will be happening. Okay, we have a half hour left. Topics, questions, anything. We've got a fairly small group here. What do you guys want to discuss?
Yes, I asked whether the extensive books of Mr. Rudolf Smit and Geoffrey Dean are well known in this group because we are talking about research. And the last research I know where an attempt is made to prove or disprove astrology is done by Geoffrey Dean from Australia. And later on, a Dutch guy known as Rudolf Smit, he did a lot of more work. And for instance, I can show you here. I can show it you if I can share the screen, but
Yeah,
this is if I can show yes, I can share the screen and I can put it on my yes.
okay, you can share your screen now.
Okay, I have to go.
There's a share at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, I have to go to the right screen and
Yeah.
share it. Yes, this one. Yes. I can put some light on it. Yes. This is a book by Geoffrey Dean, Mater, and Rudolf Smit, and this gives an overview, a critical review of hundreds of astrological studies. And I don't think it is well known, this book. But it gives an overview of all kinds of research studies that have been done worldwide. And because you're having that conference, I think it is a good basis to start from, that this is known, because after this I have not seen any serious research that I know of about to test astrology. But this is one, and Rudolf Smit was a very well-known astrologer in the Netherlands. He's still alive. He's in the 80s, I discovered, and I might see him in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, say
Yeah,
hello for me to him. We used to be in communication a long time ago.
yes, he's still alive and writing now on different topics, near-death experiences. Uh, and but he lost his trust in astrology working with Geoffrey Dean, and from that on he decided to prove that, and that is this book, and there are other books. I wrote to you, Santino, about it. This is another book, Astrology Under Scrutiny: A Close Encounters with Science. And this is the summary of the best 110 articles of 27 years of Dutch research into astrology. And yeah, that is important. I'm a member of a Dutch society which now exists for over 50 years, doing research into astrology as their main topic. So I think this is important to know this from each other. And I have proposed to that society that I will meet in the next few weeks, that we exchange the ideas of Cosmobiology Institute and evidence-based research with their work, because they do not know your work, and you don't know their work, I think. And so it is important to combine that. That was my point, whether there's interest that I lay contacts, and I have proposed to have a meeting with them, and that you, Santino, and some others are able to talk about the research you're doing in America and the plans with the Cosmobiology Institute, because they represent the Dutch society with over 50 years of research. And Rudolf Smit was also many years the chief editor of how do you call that research journal in UK, Correlation.
Correlation, yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe his website is astrologyandscience.com.
Yes, it's still there, and gives an
Yeah.
overview of all the research that is available. And I think because you have that conference next year coming, it's of course very good to refer to what is already known in the world
Yeah,
as a starting point.
let me add a few more things to this. There's a war that's going on between the people you've just cited and the current people that manage the um, Correlation magazine and who contribute to it. Robert Curry has been the editor for a number of years, and Vincent Godbout, who's on our Cosmobiology Institute board, have had some very strong words shared between Geoffrey Dean and Mather and stuff. Um, so they are in communication, but a lot of the communication has been rather hostile in
Okay,
that
I didn't know.
in that the people who are pro astrology, who think astrology works, think that the reviews done by Dean, Mather, and Smith's not quite as extreme, but also sometimes, or at least, when he was active. And Dean's not that active. He's also very elderly at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, there has been an attempt at communication, but it's very important. I think that what you're doing, Ton, is wonderful because right now it's kind of like two countries that don't understand each other and don't really talk to each other and not always completely respectful to each other. So I think if we could establish a respectful dialogue between
Yeah,
Cosmobiology Institute and the authors of these books, um, about a year ago, I emailed who's the guy who's publishing that most recent online book by Dean? I can't remember his name. I think he's in the Netherlands also. Starts with an H. But anyway, it quickly devolved into not a constructive conversation. So it would be really good. The person I did have communication with Geoffrey Dean. I think it was about 25 years ago.
yeah,
We were exchanging letters. He lives in Australia. But we had letter exchanges, and that was going fairly well, and then we kind of lost track. Um, but I've often said to them recently, I can't give you a free copy of my book because I'm not the publisher. The book costs $40 on bipolar disorder. But before you spout off all these other things, I feel like Galileo, look through the telescope. Like you're gonna have to spend the 40 bucks to buy the book. You know, I don't own it. I have a publisher, and I don't think they're going to give you a free copy. But it's been um, not always a pleasant conversation about what the data says, what the complaints are. Vincent, who's not here tonight, he's had some really long and hard discussions with Dean and others, Mather, et cetera. If
mhm,
we could get a more positive, constructive, respectful conversation, like if there's a difference about how the control group was done, basically one of the complaints of the astrologers, the people on the Cosmobiology Institute, is that no research is perfect. And it feels like they are very selective about taking the worst aspects of some research. What they've done with my research is take some early exploratory research, not the later mature research, and then they point out that early research is not giving high confidence. I never said it would give high confidence. So there seems to be a lot of unscientific, selective selection going on. So, we need to get a more respectful and open dialogue. So I'm very excited, Tom, that you will meet with Rudolf Smit and
yeah,
hopefully we can just share more honestly what confidence level does research give? Bottom line is that there are a strong group of people, at least as strong as the people in Cosmobiology Institute, who say, you guys haven't found anything, you're dreaming, it's nonsense. So far, there's no support for astrology. And I'm saying, yes, there is support. So
yeah,
we need
yeah.
to communicate about this.
Yeah, so I offer to bridge that gap. I hate when researchers go along in that way. I've been working in research many years as a research manager. I'm a professor under professors. They give me that name. So we should close that gap. And I told them about your new book, and I say, well, read it and let's discuss it.
Oh,
And
great.
there's new initiatives, Cosmobiology Institute. Let's talk about it, and uh, and let's see what we can come up as together. And the group I work with are statistical professors, civil engineers, psychologists, psychiatrists. They are reasonable people. I have met Rudolf Smit, I think 10 years ago, five to 10 years ago, when I bought
Mhm.
his books and I talk about him. So I bought all his books and I say, well, that's interesting to start with. I try, there will be a conference in 2 weeks' time, no, the 18th of October.
Oh, wow.
I will attend it. It's biannual, so one in the 2 years. I will attend it and 5 or 6 years ago, when I was there for the last time, Rudolf Smit was there because they sell their books. So I tried to be in contact and close that gap. Just
Oh,
a good conversation. Yeah.
this is fantastic. This is the best news ever. Yeah, it's something I don't think I've talked about to everyone, but it's really a huge issue that it's like two different political parties that just
Yeah.
are in different worlds. And the irony is we're supposed to be scientific and evidence-based. Well, if we were all evidence-based, why would we have this, huge gap? Because you have data is data, and data scientists and statisticians and research methodologists should be able to get together and go through it. One more thing I want to say is that I'm so glad you're meeting them in person. Excuse me. As always happens, when you meet people in person, things work much better than by letter and now
Yeah.
email.
Yeah.
I met Geoffrey Dean in person once.
Mhm.
He's a really cool guy. I really liked him. This was like 40 years ago. And it was great. We had, light conversation as well as some deep conversations. And you find out that he's not as one-sided as it might sound, from his writing. And we had unfortunately, it was a very short meeting, but I wish it would have gone longer because we were making great progress and it was fun. And so meeting in person can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I hope that we can have a Zoom meeting with several people from the United States, like yourself and Linda, doing research, and several people who are reasonable in the Netherlands, because they are a very old institute, over 50 years already,
Right.
with a lot of contacts. So it's just to see what the present status is of research, doing research.
Fantastic. That is wonderful news. So one of the things we're finding out in these meetings is some of the things you won't read in articles or whatever, like what's actually happening in the research community.
Yeah.
Emmett's developing this open source software. There are organizations and groups out there that you may not have heard about, but Geoffrey Dean and Arthur Mather and crowd, they're way more influential than Cosmobiology Institute. They've been
Mm.
around for, like you say, 50 years.
Yeah.
They've published books. Geoffrey Dean's first book, Recent Advances in Natal Astrology, it was back in the 70s, I think, or 80s. That
Yeah.
book was
I have it here.
historic. It was historic. It
Yeah.
changed. There it is. This book is historic.
Yeah.
It changed the whole trajectory of modern astrology.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about it. What was happening, I've been in astrology for over 50 years, so I'm like a walking history book. But what happened, excuse me, is that around the mid 1970s, astrologers started getting very excited about the fact that astrology works. In the mid 1970s, there was not this strong feeling people have today, like, oh, we don't need science and this is a symbolic language and science is something else. There wasn't as strong a feeling among astrologers. And I was already attending major astrology conferences and speaker and all that stuff. And so people were excited about the progress being made in showing how astrology works. It wasn't considered to be materialistic or any of these other things people now feel about research. Then Geoffrey Dean spent months in England with all of the journals there, um, going through every research article ever done. They say the joke is he didn't sleep, that he just went over everything. And his final conclusion is that none of the research, none
Yeah.
of it, not one study gives us confidence that there's an actual measurable effect from astrology.
Yeah.
This was devastating. Some of my friends who were, well-known astrologers were shocked because we had assumed that some of this research was showing good stuff. And Geoffrey showed, no, it was poorly conducted. So that really a lot of the modern ideas people have about being skeptical of research was born from the book you're looking at on your screen right now. This is the history behind it. This
This
book
history.
changed the whole momentum of astrology.
Yeah, and after that, this book turns astrology and scrutiny, and then the test of astrology. This is 2016. This book.
Right.
This is the most recent. Yes, it's 2016 in Amsterdam, and that gives an overview of all the research being done. A lot of research, you see. So it gives an overview of all research done to their present knowledge. So that is interesting when you start that conference next year to have a reference to this work in some way or the other.
Yeah, and Vincent Godbout and Robert Curry and some other people, but those two in particular have had they have corresponded with all of these people, and they've written extensive critiques of what's in the books and how they
Yeah.
are inaccurate. And so that's kind of been held up in the air. I don't think it's ever gotten resolved. Um, but I think I'm really excited, Tom, that you're going to be meeting with them. It's silly. I mean, for myself, I don't care whether astrology works or not. I just want to know.
I
You
want to
know,
know.
if I'm wrong and the confidence is not as high as I think it is, fine.
Yeah,
Just,
whether people in the Netherlands are still believing, the people I work with, uh, they are still researching because they find it quite amazing what comes out of their research. It's all written in Dutch, unfortunately. It's a monthly journal, but yeah, they are still there and still growing. Uh, one more thing, and then I stop. I want to make attention to this book. Maybe you know it,
oh yeah,
and Under One Sky. And this is that it was a study for a lady that and it was offered to all the major uh, astrologers for a particular for instance, Stephen Forrest for evolutionary astrology, medieval, Robert Hand. So they all did blind. They only had a description of the data, some basic things and information, and then they described according to them what they find. I think it is interesting to also analyze that horoscope they study here for all the disciplines with vibrational astrology. That would be interesting to see, also blind, to what vibrational astrology can tell about the person that is into compared here for all those well-known people. They are
yeah.
well
So
known.
all of these well-known astrologers were given the birth data
Yeah,
of a person and asked to describe the person. And
correct.
they did it. They described it, and then I think it's at the end of the book you read, or somewhere in there,
Yeah.
you read what the lady is actually like, what her experience is
Yeah,
like.
they give it in part two, the Joyce story.
Okay,
Uh,
that's the
yeah,
lady
and
who.
here everybody gives a description of that lady. Uh, yeah, according to uh, their astrology. So this is
Yeah,
very you see all the different, and I think this is also interesting to 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 compare VA with these stories. We can analyze that and without reading, of course, the story to see what we come up
yeah.
with VA.
I did that when I got this book.
Oh, you did it. Okay.
Yeah, I did it. I had someone else open it up and give me the birth information,
Yeah.
and then I wrote my analysis. And
Okay.
so I did it on my own. I didn't keep the analysis, but anyway, I did it. Of the people that are here, this book has been around for like what 20 years or so. So when I first got it, when I read it, I was very impressed with Hadley Fitzgerald. I
Yes,
mean, it's kind of
2004.
fun to see whose
Yeah,
interpretation matches the person.
yeah.
And I thought, maybe some might be bad luck, good luck. It's only one case. But I thought Hadley Fitzgerald was really, her interpretation really fit
The psychological one.
the
Yes.
psychological. I personally thought, wow, she hit upon I thought some of them had nothing to do with the lady at all.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you're just talking about a completely different thing. Some are so vague they could apply to anybody. I mean, you can decide for yourself. It's a fun book to read, but I thought
Yeah.
it was just a fun thing. Like, ooh, who did the best job? And I was really impressed with hers in terms of just matching the person.
Yeah, I think this type of research is also very interesting. Uh, yeah, and it's being published. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have more books to show, but this is just enough for the moment.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's exciting. I think probably a lot of you learned about the you may not have known about the very, very active movement by people who were astrologers. Here's the interesting thing about Geoffrey Dean and Rudolf Smit. Both of them independently, they were astrologers
Yeah.
and they had clients
Oh yes.
and they thought astrology worked. And what the story, one of the stories Rudolf tells is he had a client. He was a practicing astrologer. He was well known. He was the editor of Correlation Magazine. And he did this client's chart. The reading was wonderful. And then he found out after the reading the birth date was wrong. And he was like shocked, like, what? What's going on here? Like, that was such a good, everything was accurate. So some astrologers have flipped from believing in astrology to believing that there's something else going on. It's a form of divination. It's a form of using symbols that are archetypal, very deep, soulful symbols that trigger your ability to resonate with a person's consciousness. Even if you're not so-called psychic, everybody can do this. And what's happening is it's like a magic show that we think astrology is working, but it's really just the symbols triggering our sensitivity and able to make sense of it because the archetypal symbols are so deep and profound. But the
Yeah.
astrology actually doesn't work. It only works at the moment you do it. It's a form of divination. It has no scientific reality to it. And of course, Geoffrey Cornelius's famous book, The Moment of Astrology,
Yeah.
it's maybe 15 years old or so. It it like makes the very, very strong case that we are actually experiencing an illusion. One more thing to say about this. I once went to a major astrology conference. I don't remember if it was a UAC or ESAR. And at the beginning of the conference, they had a little show, little entertainment. And the show was a magician. And they had, the typical thing where the magician saws the lady in half, and then her head is on one end and her feet are on the other, and then she comes out whole. And I don't know how these magicians do it, but I was like, oh my God, she's cut in half. I mean, it really looks real. Um, and I knew she wasn't, but I almost felt scared. That's how good these magicians are.
Yeah.
And everybody had a good time. We all laughed and everything. But I thought to myself, do the other 800 attendees, was a large conference, something like that, do they realize that this might have just been a statement about what astrology is? Because that's what Geoffrey Dean and Rudolf Smit and other people saying. It's a magic show. We're actually being tricked. It's our intuition or archetypal consciousness at work. It actually doesn't work outside of the involvement of the astrologer. So, and it's an intelligent argument. These people are really sensitive and, multi-layered people. And it's something we need to take seriously. And, I'm of the opinion that at least in the research I do, there are measurable effects. This really works. But what happens is this is so emotional and people are so invested, it easily gets emotionally charged and communication breaks down. But I was very good friends with Geoffrey Cornelius. He visited me at my house when I lived in Florida. I spent a lot of time with him when I was in England. We had different conclusions, but his conclusions were very intelligent, mine are intelligent, and we just came to different results. You don't have to hate each other. There is hope, I guess. Anyway, it's good for us to know about these things that are going on, and Ton knows about it, and you're going to help act as a, translator between these two worlds is going to be wonderful. I've done a little bit of it in the past, but was never very successful. It always ended up like, what are you talking about? Like, I had a control group. It was properly sent. What are you saying? And we just, I don't know, somehow we just broke down.
Yeah, I think time is now ripe to make another effort.
I
With
think
younger
so. It
people,
feels like the right time.
more computational power we have, and I think it is now time to.
I think it's time. And another advantage is that you're in Europe and you speak more than one language, is a lot of the great work being done. America is not the center of the universe, and a lot of the work is being done in French, in German, in Dutch,
Germany, France,
and a lot of it is not translated. And I don't have access to that because I don't speak those languages. It's not translated. But for somebody to do this well, they need to speak at least two languages at minimum, to help facilitate everything. And I think to be in Europe helps too, because a lot of the work being done to discredit astrology as having any measurable effects has come out of Europe in terms of sophisticated analysis of research, or Australia, which is where Geoffrey's from, Geoffrey Dean. Yeah.
Can I add one thing real quick since we're talking about the other language? One of the things that we are committed to is if you do have videos for the conference that are in people's native language, we will work with translators to get that in English or however that needs to happen. So don't let the language barrier be an issue, because we really are trying to bring the best content that we can to everyone, regardless of language.
Thank you, Angela. Cosmobiology Institute is really committed, was founded by me and Peter Neumann. It's just committed to let's find out. Let's not have, we all have our guesses. Einstein had his guesses and Niels Bohr had his guesses. Everybody has a guess, but just to realize they're just guesses. And as certain as we may be of our guesses, they're only guesses. But to, openly share, and the people doing the work are spread around the world and they don't all speak English. So it's really important that we find out and hear everybody, including Geoffrey Dean and Arthur Mather, et cetera, and all these books that they've published, which are available. That last one, I forget the title of it, it's like over 1,000 pages long. I think it's published in the Netherlands.
Yeah, yes.
It's also available online, I believe.
You mean the test of astrology?
No, not that one. The other one.
The astrology under scrutiny.
Yeah, under scrutiny. How many pages is that?
Let me see. Only 364.
Oh, I don't know where I got the 1,000 from. Okay. Okay.
Who's the publisher of those? Because I wasn't able to find them. I did some quick looking it up.
This is the Dutch research into astrology. Wout Heukelom is the name. This is the publisher. I can dig it out. I can find it for you and send it to you.
Oh,
Yes.
that would be great. Yep. And then
Yeah,
we can,
those books are still available.
yeah, I looked online, but it's probably
Yeah.
difficult to get it over here, but
Yeah,
it would
Yeah,
be
some
great
of
to
them
have
are
that.
not available through Amazon and they're not through big
No,
publishers at this
no,
point.
no.
So, um, yeah, so they don't always pop up. Um, but the world of serious astrology is a small world, and these people
Yeah,
they do have a big impact.
yes,
And they've been around much longer. Cosmobiology Institute is new. The whole idea of people who are researchers who believe astrology does have a measurable effect is relatively new. I'm one of the old timers who believed that way back, but most astrologers don't care about empirical research. It's like 99% of them, it's not important to them. And of the people who do use modern research methods and understand statistics, the vast majority historically have not believed there's any evidence of a measurable effect. So people like me and Vincent and Godbout and Christopher Benton and Robert Curry are the exception to the rule, where we have done the research and we say there is a measurable effect.
yeah,
And so this voice of people who are trained in advanced research methods saying there is a measurable effect is relatively new. And I think, like you said, Ton, the time is now right for a
yeah,
communication.
yeah.
And they've tried it.
Also, so
Yeah.
I hope to have answer next month whether they accept my offer to have a Zoom meeting with you and some others
Oh,
to
wow.
to have that to build that contact again,
Wow.
and that you can also present your book and your vision about Cosmobiology Institute because they do not know about it.
No, they don't. Well, I told the publisher, what's his name in Netherlands, starts with an H, the guy who published that book.
Van
I did have
Heckman.
some correspondence with him. It's kind of a long name. I I told him about the book and I told him, and he frankly just dismissed me as like a
Yeah,
quack. He
yeah,
didn't want to read the book. He didn't want to hear about it. He's just like, what the heck are you talking about? And um, when I told Rudolf Smit some 20 years ago or so that I asked Rudolf, what if somebody came up with a system of astrology that does not look like existing systems? It's not using rulers and zodiac signs. It's using like some kind of very advanced harmonics that hasn't been tested, and they have good data to show it. Would you be open to that idea? Because that's what I've done.
yeah.
It's not a hypothetical. And he said, yes, I am open to it. So that was a very pleasant conversation, email
Yeah, and
conversation with him.
John Eddy was involved in one of his books.
Yeah. Yeah. Rudolph was more open to the idea that something could be found.
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah,
others, it's like telling them that they're going to walk on water or something. It just sounds
yeah.
totally insane to
Okay.
them.
I will report back what I can achieve to bring that contact again, uh, and so that we can have an open discussion.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. Well, this is what happens when people have meetings. In the old days, we used to have only human live conferences, and I would come back from a conference
yeah,
and I would meet two or three people and they would connect. And now we're able to do it with Zoom, make these connections. It's really important.
yeah. And also, I have good connections with the Huber community,
Yeah,
and that is also a very interesting psychological. And it is well researched, but it's written. Most of them is written in Dutch, or
right.
in German, in their journal Astrolog. I have it. I can read the German. So I try to make contact also with that because they think in planetary configurations and they think in energy patterns.
Yeah,
So it's really really close to vibrational astrology.
yeah.
So I want to bring them in contact also with vibrational
Oh,
astrology
that's
and you.
exciting. Very exciting. And I believe, I mean, when the Hubers were active and everything, they had a lot of, my impression was a good number of people who are, practicing psychologists and stuff. They're involved in in the academic world. And so they're, I don't know if that's still the case with the Huber community, but
No, because they all died. The Hubers. Recently, their son died as well. And Hopewell is the UK organization that published their work and translated into English. They are, yeah, they are old already,
yeah,
so they are not very active. But there's still a large community going on also in South America. And so I think it is interesting also because they do research as well, and their philosophy is also quite spiritual because it is based upon psychosynthesis by Asocioli.
right.
So that brings several aspects together that you don't see a lot. So I think it's worthwhile to also to have contact with that research community to see whether we can cooperate or exchange information. That is the least we can start with.
Exciting. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, we've
Okay.
got to start talking to
Thank
each
you.
other. We really do. So some of you may have learned a little bit about the sordid history of astrology there that you didn't know about, and things that have affected what we do today. Like, I think people would be shocked to know that, or surprised or intrigued that Geoffrey Dean's book, Recent Advances in Natal Astrology, had such a profound effect on the whole momentum of astrology and the development of evolutionary astrology and things like that, was a direct result of that book because Dean pretty much destroyed the idea of scientific astrology, except for one or two outlaws like me who survived. But it's almost like a war that decimated the entire, civilization. So that whole civilization of scientific astrology was at least 90% destroyed by Dean when he showed that this research that we thought was so good was terrible. And I read his book. I basically read the entire book. It's not meant to be read cover to cover, but and almost every study that he went over, I said, well, Geoffrey's right. Geoffrey's right. This study's not as good as I thought. And yeah. So, okay. Any
It's
other
very
thoughts?
hard. It's very hard when you're looking at a discipline that's really a combination of science and art. And, the palette for any astrological symbol is as broad as you want to make it. And it's a wonderful challenge. I wouldn't want to be involved in anything else, but I can see how conflicts emerge when people veer too much in one direction and forget that it is really a multidisciplinary approach that is required, for most of us anyway. Thank you.
Well, that leads to another controversy is that when I started coming out with my vibrational astrology findings, I was a little bit surprised that many of the small group of astrology researchers very much disliked my research. And the reason they disliked it, one of them told me very openly that you're doing nothing to validate astrology as people practice it and know it. Because I did not validate zodiac signs, houses, rulerships, normal aspects, or anything. I was using all this new, high vibration stuff and whatever. And I said, well, yeah, well, that's what I found. I'm not saying that the other stuff doesn't work. And they said, well, this is not helping our cause. You're not helping the cause of advancing astrology as astrology's practice. I said, I don't have that cause. I just want to know what astrology is. And he said, well, you're not on our side. One of them said to me, you're not on our side. And I said, well, it's true. I'm not on your side. I'm not on anybody's side. But my conclusions do not support your side. You're right. So that was an interesting thing, too, is that in the research I do, it's not supporting yet even like the Huber system. And all that stuff may work. I just haven't, in my own research, confirmed it yet. And then I went as far as to reanalyze some of the research that supposedly supports basic ideas And I felt like Geoffrey Dean saying, well, this research is not as good as you guys said. So there's a lot of factions and a lot of conflict within the astrology research community. There's a problem of people using different models and getting different results. Now, in Cosmobiology Institute, we have none of those problems. You know, Christopher Benton's doing modern Western, I'm doing vibrational, and Vincent Godbout is doing something else, and we're all just saying this is what we happen to find. So there's no ego battles going on within this new circle of researchers. But when my research first came out, some of the researchers didn't like it because it didn't support what they wanted to see supported. And they said, and what made me think of that is that your research is not multidisciplinary enough. The same phrase that Penelope used is that it's just using this one slant of an energetic system, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we're all just hunting, trying to figure something out. And when that happens, people get into battles and ego battles and whatever. Yeah.
I think that happens with any new cutting edge analysis. I mean, Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr were best of friends until they started talking about the analysis, and that they had a major breakdown. And anyone that's cutting into new territory, they're always going to get a lot of headwinds or ignored or marginalized. That is so common.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good point. Yeah. So,
and I might add that Dean must be really busy with the physics nowadays, because many of the studies that are coming out are about the illusion of what we live in, the duality, and all that. So it's not only the astrology that is proposing these hypotheses. The physics are going that way. It's just a matter
I
of
was at a party a few years ago with mostly physicists, a few psychologists, and me, the oddball. And so they found out I was an astrologer, and they were making fun of me and stuff. And you know, I said something, well, at least I don't believe in quantum entanglement. I mean, you know, that's really idiotic. And you want to talk magic, you guys are playing magic. And everybody was laughing hysterically. And I was accepted into the club and respected from that moment on, because they had to admit, yes, we have, our ideas are at least as crazy as yours. So it was just a lot of fun, you know, and that, yeah, but it's true. It's not a matter of whether the idea is strange, it's whether it's validated by observation and replication. That's the issue. Lots of ideas in physics make no sense at all. And they knew that. And as soon as I called them on it, we all had a big laugh about it. And they said, but you don't have data. And I said, oh, yeah, I do have data, you know. And I don't drink alcohol, but they kept trying to give me more alcohol so I could really get in the mood with them. But I don't need alcohol to get in the mood. But anyway, it was fun. Yeah. Okay. We've gone a little over an hour and a half, explored some different things that are actually happening in the world of astrology. I want to just finish by encouraging you to take seriously the idea of coming to the Cosmic Discovery Conference, April 26th to 28th next year in Nashville, because this movement, I think this gives you some historical background and cultural background. This is really big. This is really, really big, that the idea that astrology actually produces measurable effects and that we have strong research to support it. This is shaking the world a little bit, and a lot of stuff going on. So I think it's, you know, I really think that we're all a part of history. If I'm right, and the others of us who think that the evidence from the research is strong enough, that this is really happening. This is a new discipline. So yeah, if you come to the conference, you know, you'll be with the other people who are interested in this and involved in this cutting edge movement.
And one thing I want to, because I've always got to put in a plug, um, one thing I want to say is that we do have panel discussions set up with some of these leading people in different disciplines to cut holes in things, look at it from a different perspective. You know, we're about uncovering as much as we can with these discoveries, and so nothing's off the table as far as taking being respectful of everyone is definitely a priority, but you know, we want to take a look at it from all perspectives. So
Yeah, and if Dean, Mather, Smit and company, I mean, most of them are very elderly now, but there must be a few younger ones, or they're still active. Um, if they actually want to look at the research and analyze it and, be respectful about it, the Cosmobiology Institute is open to any intelligent observations. We're not here to promote a philosophy. We're here to find out what astrology is and does it really have measurable effects? And if there's somebody who's actually going to go through the studies that show that it does and share their doubts or whatever, we welcome that. We need to find out.
You don't mind, I wanted to give a major thumbs up to Astro Up and Nelson's work. It's just phenomenal. It's unbelievable.
Yay,
Oh
It's
Nelson.
my. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome. It's the best app out there by
Wow.
far.
Well,
I just
yeah.
uploaded an interview of Nelson on my YouTube channel where it's basically Nelson showing us the program. So you can
can
go to
you
my
put that in
YouTube.
the chat, Nelson? Sorry, I'm going to
Yeah,
give you a chance to plug it.
Mm.
yeah, Nelson's pretty modest. Getting him to plug it's gonna, yeah. If you can put a link to the video, if you can just bring the video up and click on share and paste it in there. Yeah, but it's the interview went really well. It went about 45 or 50 minutes, I think. And Nelson walks us through the program.
Yeah, but it was a very, very interesting interplay between Nelson and yourself, because you were so surprised, and but you give good summary. So it was not directed. It was quite
Oh, no, no.
natural, but the result is very, very, very good.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm a
Yeah.
good entertainer and enthusiastic. Um, so
There was no script
No, there
yeah,
was
or
there
no
was no
script.
script, but
nothing like it.
I'm a real ham. So some of that was like I actually knew it, but to reflect what people appreciate, like, oh my God, this does this, whatever. Yeah,
Mm,
so I think I definitely had some spice to the points that Nelson was making because they needed spice. He's like, this is an incredible program,
yes.
and yeah,
Thank you so much, and I hope I can improve it much more than it already is.
yeah.
There's a lot to be done.
All nerds are the same. Emmett and Nelson and I. If you ask us what we're doing, well, we're going to tell you about all the things that aren't working right, that aren't quite what we want them to be. Emmett's going through. Well, I didn't really finish this yet, but
Yeah.
that's the nerd mentality. I mean, I'm a real ham in public, but when it comes to the software, oh, I don't like this. This is bad. This is buggy. I'm not satisfied. It's if you're not that way, you can't get it right because it's so demanding. It's made
It's
for
it's it's
people who
not
are,
easy to sleep with a bug
oh
in our
God,
minds. No, it's not.
no, yeah, I had a very crazy sleep schedule for 40 years. I basically sleep 4 hours at night, 3 to 4 hours a night, 2 hours in the middle of the day, and then an hour in the late afternoon. Basically, my brain gets fried and tired, and I just collapse for an hour and I get up. But that's the only way you could write a million lines of code, which is what I did in 40 years. Um, if I would have gotten paid properly for that, I'd be a wealthy man today. But you know, um, yeah, it is literally hard to sleep. Um, yeah, but that story about that myth of the cobbler falls asleep and the elves make the shoes. Well, it's true. It's true. I mean, if you work on something 24/7, the elves are constantly going. So I wake up after 3 hours sleep and I've got the answer to my the algorithm I'm trying to write. You know, it's like
Happens.
it's not some big psychic thing. Just think about one thing all the time and you get really good at it. You also get very bad at everything else, which is a consequence. My personal relationships are always a disaster and everything because they're asking me something and I'm thinking about, if I put that on the stack like this, hello, hello. Oh, yeah, yeah. I've been known literally to bump into walls in grocery stores and stuff.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, it ruins the rest of your life, but you do figure stuff out. Okay. I hope to see you next month. And what's that date, Angela, for October
October 17th.
17th edition meeting?
I'll have an email sent out soon. Remember, if you want to share your project, we want you to share your project. So please email us. Just give me a general description of what you want to present, and we'll give you 15 to 20 minutes to do so. We still need a couple more people, so we would love to have you share your work.
Yeah, and that's the idea of the so-called mentorship is like if you're having difficulty making it concrete, we're talking about research, like what is your astrological question? How would you solve it? And Blake, I got your email about that bug in Sirius, and I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll email you because you started anchoring your ideas down, and I love that, and how you got stuck with certain things. And yeah, if the asteroid Narcissus is related to narcissism, let's find out. And if the programs are buggy, let's get them debugged so we can find out. Okay, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you very much. Thank you, Emmett. Thank you, Ton. Thanks to all of you.
We'll get
And,
this. And Santino, I sent you a reminder. It's August that we're missing on the YouTube channel. So we
okay.
need to get August up and tonight's.
Okay.
Thank you,
I will
Penelope, for
upload. Thank you for
letting us know.
clarifying August. It must be the one that Penelope was referring to.
Yes.
I'll get that up and I'll get the one up for tonight. They'll be up by tomorrow afternoon Eastern time where I am. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.
Good bless us.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
No.